Greetings. My name is George Boston Rhynes, a retired military armed forces veteran of the Vietnam era, Kuwait, and Iraq area. I have been informed by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department that Lowndes County School Superintendent Wes Taylor issued a criminal trespass warrant against me, banning me from all Lowndes County School Board property here in Lowndes County, Georgia. I intend to make it so clear for all Americans to understand that something is gravely wrong here in Valdosta when a retired military veteran are denied the right to enter public facilities and public property. You all know that I have over 2,500 videos on YouTube trying to expose and inform the people in Valdosta, Lowndes County, South Georgia, the state of Georgia, and the United States of America about how the people here don't have access to good news media coverage or a free press. And as a result of my activism, much like Noble Drew Ali, Paul Robeson, Malcolm X, and other freedom fighters of yesteryear, black and white, Jew and Gentile, Protestant and Catholic, they always come out at the best citizens that America have produced. Now I want you to know, not once have Superintendent Wes Taylor called me and told me that I had created any disturbances at Lowndes County High School, any of them for that matter. Nor has he called me and told me that I was following little children around or if I had molested any child. He never called me and told me why he would issue this particular request of law enforcement against me. It seems to me that a man of his intelligence would respect the founding fathers of this great republic, that the American citizens are not like citizens in Russia, we are told, or in China, we are told, or in some other third world communist nation, where they just can restrict black African Americans and white people along with others simply because you want to. Be advised that I stand before my God Jehovah in the best sense of decency and honesty and say that the Valdosta Police, nor the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department, nor any educator or elected official in Valdosta, Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, or in the United States of America ever told me that I had been restricted and banned from the properties of Lowndes County High School. Therefore, if I had entered these grounds, I could have been arrested by law. I repeat, I could have been arrested by law. But I would have not have been told that the superintendent, Wes Taylor, that's Wes Taylor, who is the superintendent of our children throughout Lowndes County school system. He must be a representation of the type educators we have here in Lowndes County. I'm going to leave it up to you to determine for yourself if my rights have been violated. Number one, never was I told by Wes Taylor, the Valdosta Police Department, or the Sheriff's Department that any paperwork had been started to restrict my movement or to imprison me outside of these protected grounds of Lowndes County High School. As a retired military veteran, I fought, I served my nation, I took an oath and obligation to defend this nation from both foreign and domestic enemies, only to retire and return to Valdosta in Lowndes County, Georgia, to have my rights restricted as if though I was in Russia, China, or in some other third world nation. Now, let me say this. This is not my first encounter with the Lowndes County school system. Now that they seem to be after me for standing up for truth, allow me to go back into history. Now, since it seems as if though I am being singled out for my activism and for following the founding fathers of this great republic and exercising my right to ensure that the Attorney General instructions in the state of Georgia requesting that they open up the doors of secrecy, the top secret files that have been closed for too long here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia, such as 31 jail deaths from 1994 to 2009. From 2009 to 2013, no one knows how many jail deaths have occurred in the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail. Sheriff Rhynes won't tell you. The police department won't tell you. Your city officials in Valdosta won't tell you. Your county commissioners won't tell you. The members of the clergy won't tell you. Your South Georgia news media won't tell you. The Georgia Attorney General, the Secretary of State, the Governor Nathan Deal won't tell you. The judges won't tell you how many jail deaths have occurred. Yet today is Memorial Day. Many of these deceased veterans, that have died all across the nation. But what about those veterans that continue to die in the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail, but won't nobody ask why is a little South Georgia town, metro city like Valdosta, leading the state of Georgia in jail deaths, and many of them are not even reported to the general public because the news media seems to be in cahoots with somebody. And so the general public are left deaf, dumb, and blind to the times and unable to make intelligent decisions based on facts because they don't want you to know it. And so when I go out and do what your free press should do and getting paid to do, then they ban me from the school illegally. Illegally. Then they don't even tell me about it. I wanted to go to the graduation, Lowndes County High School 2013 graduation. But Superintendent Wes Taylor, in the state of Georgia, in the United States of America, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, kept me from attending the Lowndes County High School graduation ceremony. We want the Justice Department, we want the Civil Rights Division, we want the good people in Valdosta to know this, because otherwise you won't know it. I talked to the news media here in Valdosta, Georgia, excluding the Valdosta Daily Times. I haven't talked to them yet, but they're gonna get a copy of this YouTube, and we wanna see who's gonna call me in for an interview. Yeah, let's see if the news media in South Georgia, once I send them this video, let's see if they are concerned enough to put this in the Valdosta Daily Times on ABC, NBC, CBS, and other Fox News local newspapers to let the people know what is happening to military, retired, disabled veterans here in the United States of America. If you really care about the veterans, then you would stand up for us. You would not restrict us, you would stand up for us. Gonna get better in a minute. It's gonna get better in a minute. Yes, I told you it's gonna get better. But before I get into the better, I want you to know that this is not my first encounter of having problems with the Lowndes County school system. I believe in the free press. I believe in the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, as this country so proudly exhibits around the world on paper. But if America is not about equal justice for all, and that we are a nation of laws, if you don't mean that, just burn up the Constitution. Burn them up. Burn them up. And I do mean burn them up. We came to these shores in the year 1555 aboard a slave ship called Jesus, captained by one white European slave owner by the name of Sir John Hawkins. We were stripped of our name, our God, our connectedness with the mother continent of Africa. In fact, Africa is not even the name of that country. That name was resigned to a European general that went in and did things that you have to study about. So Africa is not the name of that continent. They stamped the name on a people. Then they brought us over here, took our culture. We didn't know who in the hell we was until this day. We've been called all names because we've been stripped down to the level of a beast. We cannot speak our mother tongue. All these things were denied from us. Yet we hear Rush Limbaugh talk about small government and big government. Well, hell, black African American, so-called, didn't have no government to stand up for them. And it seemed like in 2013, we still don't have a government that will stand up for the rights of poor people here in Valdosta, Georgia, regardless of whether they are black or white. If you're poor, they all say good night. And then they arrest you. And because they know you can't get a lawyer, then they put you on probation. And that's the new plantation of this dispensation. Then when you call the civil rights leaders, they are catching so much hell across the nation in so many cases until they can't come to Valdosta. Yet they tell us that you have arrived. For the few blacks that have arrived and have gotten positions, like in city government, I just was told, when blacks get in position, they are of no value to the black African American workers. Because if he say boo, they will fire him. Especially since Georgia is an at-will to work state, which means they can fire you for good cause, bad cause, or for no cause at all. Now look, again, my first encounter with the Lowndes County racism I mean racism. I don't, y'all know I don't use that word much. Y'all know that. In fact, I'm going to erase it because I can say what I want without using that. But I will say that my son, my oldest son that went to Valdosta, no, that went to Fort Valley State College, when he was in Hahira school system under the Lowndes County, I was spanking him one evening because he had talked about and got negative with the teacher. And as I was spanking my oldest son, who was in the 5th grade, and he turned to me and he said to me, "Daddy, that woman is prejudiced. This white woman is prejudiced." I said, "Son, what you mean?" I stopped spanking him. And he said, "I'm not the only one." To make a long story short, I did my research like I always do. And so, after doing my research, and I went to mothers throughout the county, and I found out that other mothers had the same problem with this particular teacher being, or rather discriminating against black students. Now, this document is dated 9 April 1980. I don't throw away my records. 9 April 1980. And it's welcome to any of you who want to read it. I'm not going to call the teacher's name because I don't want to. But they disciplined her after we got together and did what we needed to do. Now, it is indeed very sad that in 2013, I would be banned from the same school system that inflicted pain on my 5-year-old African-American son. It's gonna get better in a minute. Gonna get better in a minute. Now, have you all noticed how elected officials pump themselves up as if though we are living in the perfect city and county? But do you not know that the other week we had a meeting together in memorial for the late Mary Turner that were lynched over in Brooks County, just 18 miles west of here. The baby was cut from her womb by a white mob member, and when the baby fell to the ground, they crushed his head with the boot of the white man's heel, his boot. They say the baby gave out 1 or 2 cries before it went into the hereafter. It's gonna get better in a minute. They won't talk about that. In fact, they won't teach that in the school system. It's like they have restricted that also. In other words, that old 1860 charter that they had displayed in Valdosta City Hall up to 2004 until I asked them to remove it. And they reluctantly removed it, but not without a fight and a struggle. It was on the 2nd floor leading in to Municipal Court Judge Edwards' courtroom. Judge Edwards' courtrooms, and here's what it said, where everybody came seeking justice under the law. Here's what that disgraceful charter said. In paragraph 100, section 11, that the mayor and council shall pass all proper and necessary laws and ordinances for the control of slaves and free persons of color, and to control, suppress, and abate all nuisances arriving from hogs, dogs, horses, and other animals straying at large in Valdosta. And now in 2013, I guess the mentality of that charter that was reluctantly removed because I told them that as a retired military veteran of the Vietnam era, it was a very disgraceful, distasteful, and racist document that had no place in the New South. I guess that Mr. West Taylor, by his actions, seemed to be reinstituting that 1860 charter because I was banned from Lowndes County High School. My question to you, and directly to the Sheriff's Department, and directly to Superintendent Wes Taylor. What laws, Mr. Taylor, have I violated? What have I done for you to restrict me from the property that I have paid for? Do you think that your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, or your children or grandchildren would allow a black superintendent of any school system in the state of Georgia to restrict your child? Listen to me, Mr. Wes Taylor. Now, somebody got to do this, because you see they're coming after me. In fact, they are a little late coming after me. I thought they would have done it already. And in some ways they have. Let me tell you how I know this. You see, I was called by a mother out to the Lowndes County jail. I got all this on video. Everything you hear me talk about is documented. Her son had been beat up. Somebody from within the jail told this mother that if you care about your son, you will come and check on him. And so she called me, and I went out there with her. And after getting out there, we violated no law. We caused no disturbance, but I think it was Deputy Lewis, if I ain't mistaken. I'm not sure. But whatever the deputy was, I got it wrote down in my archival record. He asked us to leave the property because the mother wanted to know the condition of her son. Do you not know that mother had to call 911 just to find out the condition of her son? And so since they ordered me off the property, or they was going to arrest me over a few miles from here at the jail. So I went with Vivian and the mother over to the Bales Bonham off their property, just like I was ordered off this property. And I'm out here today because I can't go to this building. My constitutional rights, as I define it, have been stripped of me like as though I'm in Russia. And so we went and cut a video, and it's on record. You can see, in fact, it's on YouTube. Go through them, you'll find them. Now, just a few months ago, because I highlighted discrepancies, such as people eating on the computers at the South Georgia Regional Library, using profanity with little children, sitting there on the computers. They did not have workers at the regional library that would leave their desks and come by and look at the people using the computers at Woodrow Wilson Library. And so I brought all these issues up. I brought them up. Some I sent on email to the director so she could improve the conditions in that library. A lot of it I sat there, I have it documented. I recorded on tape recorder, not video. There are some that I have on video, but see, I do this because I know about the Mary Turner lynchings. I know what they do. First, they try to discredit you. Then they try to cut off your influence among your people. Then they try to murder you. Then when they murder you, like Egerton, then they hide it. Then they investigate it. Then they send it to higher up like the G.B.R. and others, the FBI. But if everybody's in the clique and among the slicks, you will not receive justice. And this is what has happened to many of our young people. This is why our young people don't give a damn about law enforcement, don't give a damn about the judicial system, because they know the crooked lawyers, they know the crooked judges, they know the crooked preachers, they know the crooked mamas and daddies. And this is why our young people are wearing their pants down to say to America that your laws are down. Our children are not crazy. They just need good teaching. Oh, think gonna get better in a minute. Let me skip right along with the library. All this stuff has been documented. I made many changes. You'll see they use cell phone, talking loud. But I brought all of that up. When you look in the library and you see that rules posted on the back wall, that was because of George Boston Rhynes. Because I refused to go overseas to be willing to die, come home and sit down and placate and duplicate and imitate Jesus and the others and say and do nothing while my world go to hell and go deep into hell because the preachers and the deacons and those who say they are Christians and Muslims and Jews and others, you can't hear them say nothing. My God told me in the book of Joel, 2nd chapter, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountains. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh and is nigh at hand. There is something about the man of God. There is something about the woman of God. I'm not talking about these popcorn preachers. I'm not talking about these popcorn imams. I'm not talking about these popcorn rabbis. And I'm not talking about the popcorn America. I'm talking about people like Lee Touchton, people like Representative Tyrone Brooks, and others who love you so much. But you don't understand them. Gonna get better in a minute. And so if the preachers, and if the teachers, and if the superintendents, and others, let me repeat, if those in position of authority will not blow the trumpet, what's going to happen to our beloved nation? Except you go down the path of ancient Rome, only to be consumed by the real terrorists of this dispensation. Who among you in Valdosta, Lowndes County in the state of Georgia, who among you are bold enough, love God enough, courageous enough to tell you the truth so you can save yourselves and your children? They don't want us to talk about the May return of lynchings in the week of terror back in May of 1918. They don't want us to call the roll of May returner Willie Head, Julius Jones, Hayes Turner, Eugene Rice, 3 unidentified black men thrown into Little River, Shine Riley, Simon Schumann, Sidney Johnson, and others. They don't want you to talk about what white folks did to black folks, but they want you to think that we are the racists. You don't find in the black man history the atrocities against humanity to the degree that you see among the wicked white folk. I'm not talking about the righteous and those who follow Jesus, for I have more white folk that donate and try to help me in this just cause than I have black folk. This is why I say to all black America, don't waste your time on hating on white folk. White folks is probably your best friends. Black folk, for the most part, is scared as hell. And you will find them calling on the name of Jesus, but they won't call the name that I just called. They won't tell you that Sidney Johnson, the drug up and down North Patterson Street in the city of Valdosta, Georgia, then tied behind a pickup truck with a rope and dragged all the way out to the old campgrounds in Morven, Georgia. They won't tell you that if they know it. They won't tell you about Nigger Branch in Quitman that they now call Pride Branch, and they lied about that. But Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth at some point. And this is why I do what I do. And I guess this is why Superintendent of Lowndes County High School had to do what he did in the Lowndes County Sheriff Department. But if you think that the God of my ancestors will allow suffering, the abuse and mistreatment without hope of any kind to continue here in Valdosta, Lowndes County, Brooks County, even with the Quickman 10. That is most disgraceful, what is going on in Brooks County with the Quickman 10. That is most disgraceful. It is so disgraceful that you can align it with the week of terror back in 1918. Do you not know, with the Quickman 10 being the majority on the Brooks County Board of Education, it scared the hell out of some white folks. And so they had to move, and they did move. Now after 3 years, they still haven't gone to trial. Wait a minute. Just over in Madison, Florida, they did the same thing. Wait a minute. Madison, Florida, they arrested 9 black African American, mostly women, all women, I believe, because black men ain't standing up. Black men ain't standing up. They'll go to McDonald's, or they'll go to Starbucks, or they'll go to the golf club and talk, but you won't see them standing up on no issues today. In this movement for Kendrick Johnson, you don't see many black men. You mostly see women and the young folk. Thank God for the young folk. The old Christians, the old Muslims, the old Jews, the old Hindu, all of them seem to have lost the nature of their flavor, if it was any good. Look, our black men knew and are aware that Earl Evans was burned up in a police car, later told that he had been shot over in Quitman. I was in the military then, but I knew about it. A cat killer told me about it. That was a black sheriff, deputy sheriff over in Quitman. The Densons, the Wootons, and countless other blacks that I have on the internet on my blog, kvci.blogspot.com. Once again, kvci.blogspot.com. That's kvci.blogspot.com. Why do I do this? Knowing that the men of yesteryear's spirit is in men today. Don't think that Lester Maddox perished away. Don't think that Bull Connors perished away. Don't think that George Wallace passed away. That spirit is still roaming among us today. Just like the spirit of Martin Luther King, Jesus, Moses, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Samson, and the David, and the Solomon's righteousness are still roaming among us in people who will stand up and tell the truth. Their spirit is in me. Their spirit is in you if you have the courage to do what they did. Just be getting on a Martin Luther King committee and pumping yourself up once or twice a year, and then don't put nobody on the stage who are actually doing the work of those great men while you dip, duplicate, imitate, and placate. But when it comes down to the real deal, what's going on? Again, who among us will stand up for the 31 jail deaths? Who will stand up for the alleged taser death in May of 2010? You're gonna see that on the next 2 or 3 videos. I was told about this over 2 years ago. Young man that was in the cell next to this man that died in medical because he was tased. Valdosta Daily Times, according to this young man, didn't publish nothing about it. Local television stations didn't publish nothing about it. radio didn't report it. But I have a DVD, and now it's on the internet. I put it up last night. So you can see this young man. I didn't want him to show his face because we have called on every elected official here locally in the state of Georgia, including Eric Holder's office, the Justice Department. Nobody seems to care. I told you, this nation is falling apart, and it's all because the salt have lost its savor. I repeat, the salt have lost its savor. And when you lose that which preserves us, you are on your road to destruction. So don't worry about the Rush Limbaughs and the Glenn Becks and the O'Reillys and the rest of the new Christians. Don't worry about the new Christians. Jesus' word is going to meet them at the pool of Siloam. And they will be nothing more than footnotes at the bottom pages of history, just like Lester Maddox, Bull Connors, and others, whose children found them to be on the wrong side of history. Willie James Williams, death in the Lowndes County Jail. There was a great movement. Over 2,500 people marched, protesting. We never got any justice. Just like the week of terror, the 15 to 25 people was murdered. And it's not, let me repeat, it's not that they don't know who committed those crimes, because my record says that a white mob member who had the love of God in his heart sent the names to the then governor, to the Georgia governor, and nothing has been done. They'll investigate the Quitman 10. They'll put me on restriction and they'll investigate me. They called my tag number in here. They didn't call nobody tag number about 2 weeks ago that entered these grounds but mine. They called my tag number in. The president and CEO, my friend Bobby Worthy, was right here. They didn't run his tag number, or rather his driver's license number, but they ran my driver's license number in. I hadn't done nothing. All I did was drive my vehicle through this pathway, up there, getting ready to turn around, and a sheriff deputy came to me, asked me for my driver's license. I pulled out this Georgia driver's license, and next to it was my military ID, where I retired from the United States Armed Forces, and he read my driver's license over, and I heard him report back over the sheriff's radio, just like I heard him report back the other day. They said to me, they said that he was restricted 2 weeks ago, from which I knew nothing about. I didn't sign no document. And so, we must ask ourselves the question. We thought that with crowds of people to Willie James Williams, that we would get some answers. We wrote the Justice Department. Do you not know that Valdosta City School System is also under a 50-year court order from the Justice Department? There is some mighty powerful people here in Valdosta with connections somewhere that connect into somewhere that don't nothing get out of here that is good for the masses of the people. Not only good for black folk, that's good for white folks as well. They don't get it out. It's like a clamp down on information. It's a clamp down on information. We travel to the HUD office, going up there to talk, trying to get some relief and some funds from Section 3, so the poor and whites and poor black folk could get some of this money that's coming from the federal government, rather than it being going to the same old people since 1968. When we went to the HUD office, Minister Doc Robinson and myself, it was like we was talking to a brick wall. Nobody knew what was going on. They just sending federal dollars down here with no control for the most part. Councilman Wright knows what's going on. Others know what's going on, but they don't say nothing because of what Matthew Richards called the chorus of fear that he put on a video called the chorus of fear. following the death of Willie James Williams. If you think what I'm saying is far-fetched, all I'm asking you to do, go to the courthouse, the Lowndes County Municipal Judicial Complex. See how many blacks you see in positions of management or in job in general. Go to City Hall and look around and see how many blacks are employed. Go wherever you don't matter, just go and find out the rest of the story. It's gonna get better yet in a minute. Now let me bring this to a close. Let me bring this to a close. It seems as if though people think that the death of Kendrick Johnson is a waste of time when it comes to, let me repeat that. People seem to believe that the efforts of Kendrick Johnson's family is a waste of time. All they ever asked for was justice, open government, and the right to know. They wanted the right to be able to say that we live in the United States of America, a nation of laws, wherein they respect all people equally. Wherein if your child should die, you will be given the right to at least view their remains before they have an autopsy. After all, who could better identify Mr. Wes Taylor, who Kendrick Johnson was, than the parents? Superintendent Wes Taylor, I've talked to the father. He told me that very few, if any, I don't want to quote what he actually said, because I love the people of Valdosta and Lowndes County too much. And I wouldn't want them to think that if they lose a child in the Lowndes County school system, that the educators and the ones that teach our children would not show remorse or visit or call the parents of a deceased student in Lowndes County High School. Now, Mr. Wes Taylor, you wouldn't have heard none of this, I doubt. But God, I don't blame you for restricting me. Mr. Wes Taylor, Superintendent, I don't blame you for restricting me from these grounds that my tax dollars paid for. I don't blame you, because I know that God is using you. Yes, God is using you to bring about what He wants done here in Valdosta, Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, and in the United States of America. It's not you. God is using you. Do you not know that in the volume of sacred law, God used Pharaoh? God used Pharaoh to free the children of Israel. In fact, He called Moses to go down and talk to the Pharaoh or the president or the superintendent of that day. Then after Moses went to him, what did God tell him? God told Moses, I am going to harden Pharaoh's heart against you and against the work that I want done. And so, that's why you don't see me criticizing Lester Maddox because God used Lester Maddox. God used Bull Connors. God used all of them to bring about his divine purpose. God even used Hitler. And when God got ready, he showed the entire world what hate can do. He showed you what discrimination can do, and how intense it could be, and how deep it could run, and how millions are made from the suppression of his children. And so, Mr. West Taylor, I understand. I understand. The question is, do the community understand? You see, God, in his magnificence, God, in his superior knowledge, power, and understanding, he knows what we do not know. And I tell black folks all the time, don't be too hard on yourselves about coming to these shows in the year 1555 aboard a slave ship called Jesus for economic reasons. Because behind the unknown walls was God standing in the shadows keeping watch over his own. God knew that we, the black race, had a job to do. And so we came to suffer, to help build this nation, that it would be the great superpower that it is today. And if you remember, Moses was a strange man, born in poverty, went to riches in the president's palace or in the superintendent's office, but he refused to see his people murdered and oppressed and enslaved. And so he woke up one morning, and when he woke up that moment, he lost everything that he had, except the God of his ancestors. So as I close today, I talk like this because I love you just that much. I want you to understand that I fought through the military. I fought Walmart Stores Incorporated because I stand for what is right. The president and CEO of Walmart, listen, the president and CEO of Walmart Stores Incorporated know me because they terminated me March the 20th, 2008, without cause, under the heading on their paperwork, inability to perform jobs. And I only supervised about 8 people. That was easy for me. After all, I was trained by the best. I was trained by the military. I knew my job, and I knew it well. But you didn't train me, Mr. Walmart. You refused to enter me into your own 4-week training program. And I have that documented, done sent you over 400 videos since March 20, 2008, and you still refuse to answer me. That's okay, because I know that God is working on you too, and God's gonna show Walmart something in a few more months. What you saw in Bangladesh and how people was burned to a crisp, you haven't seen nothing yet. For Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. You've seen it on my video, how Walmart store exit, the fire exits are blocked, fire exits at Walmart store 2615. I was a manager at 2615, and I'm speaking the truth and cannot be sued because what I speak is indeed the truth. Fire exit was blocked. Customers' personal information after gun sales were not secured, and they got on me because I wanted to do it right, and they didn't give a damn. But they got rid of me, and it's okay. Because like Superintendent West Taylor, you gotta understand, where man leaves off and God takes over. Listen, I'm gonna say it again. We have to understand where man leaves off and God takes over. Now, what do you mean, Brother Ryan? If you all can't see that God have taken over here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, if you can't see that, then I'm sorry to say it, but you are a devil yourself. Oh yeah. Now look, we cried out with the Justice Department back in '98. We ain't seen no Justice Department. We called for the governor. We ain't seen no governor. We called for right and righteousness. We haven't seen it. We peacefully protested and boycotted and did what we should do under our form of government. And so now, you gotta be careful. As I said before, you gotta understand where man leaves off. I'll say it again. You gotta understand where man leaves off and when God takes over. You see, when you do wickedness, this thing will go down and be passed on. Or you may get me. Or you may send me to jail. You may send me to prison. You may kill me. You may murder me. You may investigate and find nothing, like Warren got it, and find nothing. But don't fool yourself. God is going to find you. And if he don't get you, he'll get your children down to the 3rd and 4th generation. You'll wonder why they born certain ways. But God have spoken it, and it will not return void. Ecclesiastes 8:8. But there are no man that have power over the Spirit to retain the Spirit. My children know. My children know more about me. I saw a vision when I was around 15 years old. I don't talk about it much, but my children know it. And I fear no man, woman or beast. I don't fear death, for I was born into the world to die. I am that I am. But if I can't show some love in God's word, what good was me coming from my mother's womb? And so I'm gonna close out to you now. I want to leave you with this. My children already know it because I've told them. I fear no man. I only fear God. I know that's hard for y'all to understand. But as I said earlier, the soul and the spirit of righteous folk are recycled. That means they coming back again. Dr. King didn't walk in his spirit. Dr. King walked in Elijah's spirit. Oh yes, he did. Study the scriptures, for in them you think and you will receive eternal life. Jesus said, if you go into a city and if they don't receive you, shake the dust off your feet. The time has come now. It won't be no more dust shaken from my feet. West Taylor, Superintendent West Taylor, he made me to do this. So if you don't like what I did here today, blame it on Superintendent West Taylor when he denied me my rights as a United States Armed Forces military veteran that served in the wars of this nation. And so if America is not going to be fair, is not going to be just, is not going to respect our citizenship rights, then burn up the Constitution. Burn it up and let Russia know, let China know that you don't mean what you say. In other words, did not Dr. King say to you the same thing that I'm saying? Because his spirit lives in me and thousands of others, and you haven't heard the half of the story yet. God got warriors you don't even know about. God got more kings. God got more less than monarchs that are going to come out. But in the background is God Almighty, keeping watch over his own. So as we suffer, and though we die by the blood of the Lamb, we shall overcome. Once again, this is George Boston Rhynes. I put this on YouTube because I want you to know that I am nothing more than a servant of the one that brought me into this world. And there's nothing you can do but let God use you to do what he wants done. Don't think you doing it, because my God controls everything. Bye-bye, we gone.